In this video, we want to solve the inequality x squared plus 3 is less than 12. So let's first subtract 3 from both sides. We have x squared is less than 9. Now the next step is to take the square root of both sides. So the question is, what is the square root of x squared? So many students are going to say this is equal to x. But in fact, that's not always the case. Because take, for example, the square root of negative 3 squared. Let's see what that is. Well, we know that the square root of x function looks something like this. So the question is, how can the square root of a number give you a negative number? Here, the y values are all going to be greater than or equal to 0. There are no negative y values. So whenever you take a square root of something, you should always return a non-negative value. So in the example of the square root of negative 3 squared, we do not want to return negative 3 because that is negative. Instead, what we do is we take the absolute value of whatever is inside. So it'll be the absolute value of negative 3, which is 3. So to summarize, whenever you're taking the square root of x squared, that's just going to equal the absolute value of x, because this guarantees that it's not going to be negative. So similarly over here, if we take the square root of both sides, we want to return non-negative numbers. So the square root of x squared becomes absolute value of x, because we know the absolute value of x in general is greater than or equal to 0. And then the square root of 9 is 3. Well, if you're not convinced, if you look at the square root function, let's say 9 is around here, 3 is here. Clearly, square root of 9 is positive. It's not negative. If it was negative, it would be somewhere down here. But there is no function down here. Okay. So here we get the absolute value of x is less than 3, which means that x has to be between negative 3 and positive 3. And that is our answer.